Hello, hi there. So this is the second part of attention is all you need video. In the first part, I explained the self-attention mechanism and encoder part of a transformer in comprehensive detail. Whereas in the second part, I would like to focus more on decoder part and encoder-decoder architecture on the whole. So to explain it better or to understand it better, I would have to deep dive into space and time complexity of self-attention. So as we all know, the self-attention mechanism is quadratic in nature in both space and time. So where here n represents number of tokens in the sequence of input. So nowadays n is very greater than d, where d is the dimensionality of embedding. So order of n square d is normally written as order of n square. So the good question is why order of n square? So as we all know, the inputs from the embedding layer is linearly projected into key query value triplets. So each of these vectors corresponds to different vector in the embedding space. So key query value are different vector in the embedding space. So key and query, they are just multiplied using some matrix multiplication operation. Matrix multiplication is also a special form of inner dot product here. So after the multiplication, 5 cross 5 matrix is obtained. So here n is equal to 5. So 5 cross 5 is obtained. So it takes order of n to like obtain this matrix, because we are just multiplying these two matrix, and this one is multiplied over here, and it is taking order of n to perform this computation. So after this, like row wise softmax is like done. It's done over entire row in this matrix. So in this row, one token is taken, and just all the other tokens are averaged out. All the tension scores of other tokens are averaged out, and it's being explained over here. Here E is Euler's number performing the softmax of a first token, and then all the tension scores of other tokens are just average out. Suppose we have 5 tokens here, so other 5 tokens are just average out. So this will result into this kind of a distribution, where all the values of histogram will sum to 1. So it represents some probabilistic distribution of the tokens. So we're just scaling the values from the row and just scaling it down to some probabilistic distribution. So whereas this operation where we are summing all the values of all the tokens is taking order of n. So as we have n such tokens, so we are having n such rows. So we are just one row is taking n order of n, another is also taking order of n, like then the time complexity is order of n square. So this is how self attention is order of n square. So yeah, as this row wise softmax is non-linear process, and it is making the attention mechanism quadratic in nature. So they, like, if we are going to leave it without softmax, then it's gonna be order of n. It is also called a linear attention. Like, it is applicable in some case, and also there are some many other approximations and other improvements, which I will be like talking briefly about it a little later. Now let's talk about encoder-decoder architecture. So the here n is a number of the tokens in a sequence of encoder input. And for example, there are 5 tokens in the encoder over here, like Karan and Arjun are brothers, and m is a number of tokens in the sequence of decoder input, and here we have 6 tokens. So the task of the encoder part is to perform the text understanding. So the text understanding can be performed better using self attention, where each token is attending to the each other token in the input. So like Karan is attending to all the other token, and this token is also attending to all the other tokens in the sequence of input, and it is taking order of n square. So where n is the number of tokens in the sequence of encoder input. So whereas the task of the decoder is to perform the text generation in form of autoregressive manner. So to perform the this operation, the masking of the token needs to be done, and this mask is always a causal mask. So what causal mask is doing is, like, for example, we are just querying over this token, and like it is masking these future tokens over here. So like suppose this is arjan written in Hindi and we are just querying over the arjan, and like this token can attend to this and this. It's not going to attend to this like as it was doing in like self attention. So we are just masking the future tokens. So here like the always the upper triangle is always just excluded and like from the attention. Despite this, the time complexity is order of m square. So like the space complexity is also order of m square, like, but there are some approximations. Like we can reduce the space complexity by like excluding this triangle from the storage. So like encoder decoder on the whole is good for the language translation, and it is using self attention and causal masking attention, like this form of attention, and also the cross attention. So like this is a cross attention over here. So what cross attention is doing is like it is taking key and values from the encoder and the queries from the decoder. So like decoder, like for example we have feed forwarded these all the tokens over here, and like the current is like we task is to perform the language translation, and this is feed forwarded, entire of this is feed forwarded, and like we are just sending this query over here, and just it's performing the cross intention between all this and this token, and we are able to generate these all the tokens using language translation. So this how like this functions. And in this case the time complexity is order of m comma n, where n is like a number of tokens in the encoder input and m is in decoder input. So this how like encoder decoder function. Now let's talk about the encoder decoder architecture on the whole. Now suppose we have two sentences, like first is in English and second is in Hindi. The meaning of sentences like Karan and Arjara are brothers, and this is exact translation into Hindi, and it has like 6 tokens and this has 5 tokens. So when the English sentence is forward propagated into encoder layer, so this embed this each token into 512 or 1024 dimensional vector. It depends upon the embedding layer. So basically it embeds into higher dimensional vector each token. So then the positional encoding is done. Positional encoding makes sure that each token is invariant to position. And after that positional encoding, the vectors like the each that the tokens are like linearly projected into key, query and value triplets, and then there are some weights are associated with it, and like then the attention mechanism is done. And this is a self attention mechanism, and self attention mechanism makes sure that to understand the context of the tokens. It means is like whenever we are just querying over this token, and it is also taking all the tokens into context while performing the self attention, which is unmasked. And after like multi-headed self attention, all the multi-heads are they are just added, and after the adding, the normalization is done. Basically normalization makes sure that the optimization is better. And there is a feed forward layer, and the feed forward layers just contain some logic, they are like simple feed forward layer, like simple neural network. They are fully connected, and it makes sure that to perform the classification. After that the like a vector is outputted, and these and after this we have a decoder part. So decoder part is also functioning the same, but here we have like a masks multi-head self-attention. The masking is like, suppose we are querying over this arjan, so it will make sure to mask these are future tokens, and it will only attend to this and this token. So this masks multi-head attention is doing. So after that there is a normalization, and this is a cross attention. So cross attention is like taking key and values from the encoder part, and the queries are from this. So like basically like it is like performing the fusion between the different modalities of the text, and it is like performing the correlation between this and this, and after that it's all same as this part. So basically here two parts are different. The first one is a masked multi-head attention, and second is cross attention. The cross attention basically depending upon the requirement. Nowadays I was reading some papers, so they are having shallow encoders and deep decoders. Like we are having one encoder block and two or three decoder blocks. It all depends upon the requirements and architecture. So that was all. Now let's talk about the decoder based transformers. So GPT is a generative pre-training. Basically, it's a decoder-based transformer which is trained in zero-shot fashion. So by zero-shot means is like we have a huge text corpus, and and it's trained with the context window which is of the size n, and like this context window is I think 32K in case of largest GPT-4 models. So it's trained with 32K tokens, and just and the task of the GPT is to perform the next token prediction. Suppose like we have a paragraph of 32,000 words and we are just feed forwarded into GPT, and we are just doing back propagation, and after the back propagation, like the model is able to predict the next words based on the vector representation of the input corpus. So this all is GPT, how GPT is working. So now let's discuss about the architecture of the GPT. So GPT based model do not have the cross attention, because there is no feature crossing between the encoder. It's only decoder based model. So and one thing it has a different from the encoder part is like it has a masked multi-head self attention. So masking is done to prevent it attending to the future tokens. So this GPT model is trained and inferred in autoregressive fashion. So I have already explained. So it's done in autoregressive fashion. Like the task of the model is to predict the next token, and then the time complexity is also quadratic in nature in both of a space and time, and like this can be reduced to order of n. So this time complexity or space complexity can be reduced to order of n. Basically there was one method is like kernel based approximation. So basically what they are doing is like they are just replacing the row wise softmax with some other higher dimensional kernels, and after increasing the dimensionality of this, then the classification is very easy. So this is a kernel based approximation, but there is one caveat over here. So it is reducing the accuracy to some extent. So there is a one trade-off, we can balance the accuracy and also the complexity. So there is a trade-off between this, and second is like without a trade-off is a fast attention. So fast attention has no approximation. So basically they are optimizing the data flow between CPU and GPU, and like they are reducing input outputs, and like throttle is also reduced and all that, and read and writes are also reduced, and after that they are able to perform the attention in order of n time without. And third thing is which I have not listed is a low rank approximation can be also done of attention metrics, so which is kind of similar to LoRa and PCA. PCA is also low rank approximation. So basically the high level idea is suppose we have 32,000 comma 32,000 metrics. So this matrix can be decomposed into some lower dimensions like 1000 comma 1000. So there is also huge reduction in the space and time complexity. So this was all. Thank you for the listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. So all the references of the research work which I have been talking about this video will be listed in the description section. So do check out that for more details, and always keep smiling. Thank you. Bye.